Okay, so we're just going to take the top off this carburettor. I've disconnected the choke cable and the throttle cable. We're going to have a look at the carburettor diaphragms to see if that's causing this issue. What possibly might have happened is that there's a split in one of the carburettor diaphragms, and that's causing the carburetors to not perform the way that they should do, as we'll see. So here we are, lifting off the top of the carburettor. You can see underneath here we've got a diaphragm, and we can lift that out and have a look. And there we go, there's your issue. Split diaphragm. What that will cause is for this piston not to move up as the throttle is opened, and although you're opening the throttle, the air flowing through the carburettor is very restricted, and so the engine won't pull properly. So there we go, that's the problem Tim's got. All we've got to do now is see if I've got some diaphragms that we can put on there. I think I have. We'll have a look. CV carburetors tackle the problem of mixture correction by having a choke tube or variable area in which the depression remains constant. Fuel is emitted from a jet in proportion to the throttle disc opening, and this is controlled by a tapered needle. The needle is lifted by the pressure difference above and below the diaphragm. Atmospheric pressure below the diaphragm is conveyed by the port above the choke tube on the air filter side. Low pressure above the diaphragm is communicated via the depression transfer port in the piston. If the diaphragm leaks, the piston will drop, reducing the flow of air and fuel. These diaphragms, we've just got a plastic snap ring that comes off, and we can lift the old diaphragm off. The new diaphragm, there's the new diaphragm, has got a little lug on it that sits in a recess just here. I'm just going to scrape out the recess. A little bit of rubber in there. So that new diaphragm, that little lug on the diaphragm just there, will sit in that recess like that. Now, not all BMWs have this method of attaching the diaphragm, so this is an R80-7. We're going to get that to sit. Let's come out into the light, Tim. And get that to sit on there properly. It's quite important that this goes on properly. Into place. Make sure the diaphragm is properly positioned. Okay, so one new diaphragm. So we'll put that in and we'll do the other side. That little lug there goes into that recess there. Now it's very important that you get these lugs in the right position, because that way you know the piston is in the right way round. So the needle's got to go down into the jet inside the carburettor, and that lug has got to be position so it sits in the recess. And then we can put the cap back on. Don't need to put any sealant or anything like that on these diaphragms. They should seal up perfectly okay. Just put them in dry. Right, so we've put the carburettor diaphragms in. I'm just warming the engine up. We're going to balance the carbs in a minute. We've got the mercury manometer connected up to each carburettor. This column is the left-hand side of the bike, and the other column is the right-hand side of the bike. And you can see on idle that they are out of balance. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust the idle mixture screw, which is where the screwdriver is there. Okay, bring it back, Tim. So I'm going to turn the idle mixture screw. Can you see the? So I'm going to turn the idle mixture screw, and in an attempt to balance up the idling. Column looking like.
Yeah, so that one is still a bit tall. It's pretty close now. It's exactly. If anything, it needs to go back up a little bit. Perfect, spot on.
Okay, just hold it there. Change control.
It's gone down a little bit.
Let it hang vertically, see?
Oh, okay.
Right, now so long as they're within one grade of the other, that's accurate as you should be able to expect. Now what we'll do is still filming? What we'll do now is we'll open up the throttle and see what the balance is like when the throttle butterflies are open, because what we've just done is balanced it on idle. We're now going to see if the cables are actually matched. So if you look at the columns of mercury again, okay, so you can see they were matched well enough, both on the cables now and at idle. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just tighten up the lock nuts for the. I'm just going to tighten up the lock nuts for the throttle cables, and then we'll just check it again. Okay, so that's the carburetors balanced. All that needs to be done now is give the bike a road test, see how well it performs, and hopefully it should pull like it used to. Tim's about to go off and do a road test.
So far so good.
So far so good. How's it going?
It's going very well. It's actually very difficult to be a hooligan around here because there are so many cars. And yeah, between here and the next village,
Right.
there is quite a good run, but at the bottom of the hill, there's a place for the cars to kind of filter through.
Right.
And each time I went down there was a car that came out of the junction, so I could barely do both 70, but the bike wanted to do more.
Right, good.
So I feel
So
pretty confident
pretty good.
it's a success.
Good. Excellent.